Hello and welcome back to I Helped Make That. As you are probably aware, this Friday is the release of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So, for today's episode, we are going to go all the way back to 2014 and talk about the very first Guardians of the Galaxy with someone who worked on the movie, Sallie Elizabeth Bent. Thank you for coming on, Sallie.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, but before we get started, let us get the anchor ad out of the way. So, do you want to create your own podcast, but you don't know how? If you do, try Anchor today, because Anchor is the easiest podcasting platform to use. All you do is sign up for an account, then you can post on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all those platforms. So if you want to try to create your own podcast, try Anchor today. So Sallie had a very interesting job on the first Guardians movie. Sallie, do you want to tell us more about how you worked on it?
I was the owner and trainer of the Raccoon that was used as Rocket Raccoon. His name was Oreo.
Yeah, so she was the owner and trainer of Mr. Oreo Raccoon himself, who was the model for Rocket Raccoon. So, Sallie, tell me, how did you come to own Oreo?
We had a small collection of exotic mammals in England, because obviously the first Guardians was filmed in England. And one of those was a baby raccoon that we hand reared, who became unusually cooperative and friendly. And because he was cooperative and friendly, people kept asking him to go to events and do this and do that and attend photography sessions. So he became quite well known, and therefore we did too.
Okay, so how did Marvel reach out to you in regards to having Oreo be Rocket model?
Well, Marvel stroke Disney made the decision to film the first film at Shepperton Studios in the south of England. Obviously, raccoons are not indigenous to England, apart from ones in zoos that have no handling. So they were challenged with the task by Disney. It was Disney that made the decision to use a live raccoon in the first instance, because they wanted it to be as realistic as possible. So the crew were told, also the animation crew were told, you have to use a real raccoon. And of course, it became very difficult to find one in England. And they managed to get hold of us. I don't know how they found us. Obviously, they did, and sent us an email under a code name to ask if we would like to go for a screen test at what was then called Full Tilt Studios in Shepperton. We didn't know what it was for. We were under a vow of secrecy right from the start. So we took him down for a screen test, and that's how it started.
Okay, so when you first got that email, were you a little suspicious, like, oh, is this like a scam or something?
No, the address was Shepperton. So we kind of knew it was probably something quite big. We guessed it was, because there was a big fuss made over it. You know, when we got there, somebody standing outside with a secrecy agreement before we even went through the door. And there were people sort of taking lots of photos, and so we knew it was quite big. And then when we walked through the door, there was a huge concept art of what would then be Rocket Raccoon in front of us as we walked into the studios. And then we saw James's dog running around. So I thought, this is obviously something really unusual if the director's got his dog bouncing around. And of course, then as soon as we walked in, we were told it was for Guardians of the Galaxy after we'd signed the agreement. But then James put it all over the internet anyway, because he just fell in love with this furry fluff stuff. And I think he fell a bit in love with us as well. We just became really good friends straight away. Yeah.
Okay. So, when you first saw the concept photo of Rocket, did he look as he does in the final film?
No, no, it was much harsher. They softened him up once they met the real Raccoon.
Mhm.
250 artists drew Oreo. You know,
Aw.
one concentrated on hands, one concentrated on fur. They took his fur, actually. One concentrated on Isaac, all concentrated on different things. It was the amount of detail that went into it was incredible. They drew him wet, they drew him dry. Some had to concentrate on expression. You know, we had a lot of work did a lot of work on expression and use of hands.
Mhm.
Yeah, really interesting.
Yeah. So, how many days did you come to bring Oreo to the studio?
We didn't do that many. We did a couple of days down at the studio. In a it was called a 360-degree room. And then we did it at James's house as well. We went to his house for a different atmosphere to see if we could get different expressions, that sort of thing. And then we did it at my house again, with a fewer people, to see how he reacted in a raccoon reacted in a home environment with things that were familiar.
So, how many people came to observe Oreo when you worked at both James's house and your house?
Not only a few at James's house, and a few at ours, but in the studio, hundreds. Everybody just came flocking. Oh, and we took a baby raccoon as well, a younger one, and all will be revealed about that one.
Yeah, her name was Podge, right?
That was Podge.
Okay, so what did he say about Podge and how was she used for the movie?
Um, well, I don't know how much I'm actually allowed to say. Basically, we took Oreo down and we took a younger one down. Everything, because we were doing Film with the Guardians, one was all about Oreo, but they took the younger raccoon and they drew her and filmed her as well. And James said, "Who knows for in the future?" He went, "Well, we know for the future." So they obviously knew they were going to use a younger one eventually, and they filmed it and did all the work for it then. So we knew even then, but obviously we'd signed this thing, so we couldn't say anything. But obviously nobody knows. So.
Yeah. So then I know you said the studio was like a couple of days, then you know, James's house, I'm guessing was one day, then observing him.
Our house one day.
So,
And then, of
mhm,
course, James came to our house and fell in love with a meerkat and
mhm.
said, "Oh, I think we better do something else." So we had all the animals down at his house, and then we had the meerkat sitting in the spaceship on the set and sitting on Jaimin Hulsu's head, and picking away at Karen's prosthetics. But it was great fun.
Yeah, there was one day you brought all the animals to set, right?
We bought all the animals went to James's house, but only one animal, apart from Oreo, went to the set, and that was the meerkat. Everybody
Okay.
loved the meerkat.
Oh, okay. So, okay, so then, after all that happened, how far was it after you heard back from Disney and Jane?
And what we knew while we were there. We knew it was just an instant success while we were there. So we knew while we were there that it was going ahead. It took,
Mhm.
I think, it took less than 60 seconds for James to make a decision that this was the right raccoon.
Mhm. Okay.
Literally less than 60 seconds. And he just said, "Right, guys, we're on. Call everybody in." And they got everybody in, and they all came trooping in and decided what they were doing. And various directors and of this, that, and the other came in to discuss various different parts as well.
Mhm.
And we were told that it was Disney that had said it must be taken from a live raccoon.
Okay. But what I mean is after Oreo worked
Right.
with everyone, how after that had happened, like, and after they were done observing it, putting all his movements and stuff into the movie. How far afterwards did you hear back from them in regards to like starting to promote the movie, giving the okay to that?
All the way through, right from the moment we were down there.
Mm-hmm.
Right, they kept in touch all the way through. Yeah.
Okay.
They never lost touch.
So, what was it like bringing Oreo to the premiere?
No, it was very exciting. Obviously, yes, very, very exciting. Obviously, we never expected one of our animals would be a European premiere. So yeah, it's great. We loved every minute of it, and so did he. He was very well behaved.
Yeah, he was. That image has just become such an iconic image of James with him on his back. So then we also saw that he was at his suite. Like, how was Oreo at the suite?
Oh, he loved it. He loved James. They got on so well. He was wearing a Gucci suit, and Oreo made a beeline for his Gucci suit, and he was jumping all over it, and they were rolling around on the floor. And his secretary, or the guy that kind of runs things for him, for James, was saying, "Oh, James, you're going to a party in a minute. You're going to a party in a minute." And James was like, "I don't care. I want to play with the raccoon."
Aw. And I saw that, even outside the premiere, you and your husband at the time, John, and Oreo were actually standing outside when the movie had first gone to theaters. Like, what was that like?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was crazy. So many people there. So many people coming up and wanting to meet him and talk about him, and people like yourself as well, wanting to do interviews for magazines and that sort of thing. Podcasts. There's all sorts going on. Very, very busy. We had to take him away in the end because it was just so much going on. He needed a rest.
Yeah. And then when the movie first came out, what was it like seeing him on the big screen, talking and standing upright? Like, was that a bit weird?
He did stand upright anyway. Raccoons can stand upright and walk on two legs. So that wasn't too strange. I suppose the clothing was a bit strange, and the whole movie was just completely wacky, wasn't it? So yes, I mean it was just great. We loved every minute of it, and the fact that he had fitted into it so well, and that he loved everything he had to do, and some of the things we could see very much on the screen. Like when they were in the kiln and they were trying to escape, and he was operating the computer to get it to go. That was him playing with boxes on the floor that had been filmed, and all that sort of thing. It's really interesting. Lots of things that we could see in the film. Really good.
Nice. And what was it also like, to see that your boy has become such an iconic character that he's on all this merchandise. He's on like backpacks. He's on t-shirts. He's on whatever they can put Guardians characters on. They've put him on. He's been in sequels. They had a holiday special a few years back. What's it just like to see your boy everywhere?
Oh, it's good. It's very flattering that he belonged and still belongs, I suppose, to me. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, very, very flattering. And the fact that it developed into so much more, we didn't know that to start with, obviously. It just happened gradually. I think as soon as James met him, the reaction that he had to him kind of told us that it was going to develop into something big and special, and it did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and, speaking of that, how did it feel to see your boy be in a movie that was such a huge box office hit and also got favorable reviews from critics?
I think we'd heard a lot about. Nobody had heard of Guardians of the Galaxy. It was going to be an unusual Marvel film because lots of people hadn't heard about it. There was some question about how successful it would be. but when we went to the premiere and we saw the reaction of thousands and thousands of people, I think that kind of gave a hint that it was going to be as big as it was.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely did.
All right. Yeah, and yeah, it's a movie that, just resonates with so many people for so many reasons, whether it be the comedy, the soundtrack, the action, the fact that it has more heart than honestly many action films, of its kind. Like, people love these characters, but in a way that, if you were to ask anyone, I don't know, the names of any, Fast and the Furious character, I don't think anyone would be able to tell you their names, but everyone knows Star-Lord, Rocket, Groot, Gamora, and Drax. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. And I think they just picked such a good cast altogether for it as well. He did, whoever was the casting person, I can't remember who it was, but they did a fantastic job, didn't they? And I think sort of the individual actors and actresses themselves did a big part in promoting that as well as individuals, as individuals off the screen. He just picked a really, really good cast, and they all got on so well. When we were there at the studios, that they were all there. They were so good. The camaraderie between them all was amazing.
Yeah, though
really good to meet them all.
Yeah, though I will ask, if your boy hadn't been, voiced by Bradley Cooper, whose voice could you imagine coming out of his mouth?
Well, I was quite surprised. I was quite surprised that it was going to be Bradley Cooper. I suppose I just didn't know a lot about Bradley Cooper. I don't know. Probably somebody like Robin Williams, I think. But Bradley Cooper did an amazing job.
Yeah,
really, really good.
Yeah,
that was just a lovely crew. They were all so good.
Yeah. So, have they actually? I know you haven't been on the set for the sequels, and I think I will say that. Yeah.
We were asked if he could go. We could go take him back over to England for premieres and to do some more work, and we couldn't because we'd moved to Portugal. So legally we couldn't. So that's why we didn't go again.
Okay. All right. Which honestly, I guess you could kind of see with the sequels. Like, I have noticed he has more like raccoon-like expressions in this one.
Yeah,
I mean, in the sequels.
They knew they were going to do the sequels when we were there. So I guess they just took it all from what they'd already got, really, because they had masses and masses of stuff. Masses of stuff, and just they've done such a good job, haven't they? Done such a good job in taking it further. And I haven't seen that new one, obviously, so I'm not sure what happens, but I do know the younger ones in it as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just think, in general, like, back to just the quality of the movie, I think, when I say it has heart, there's this sort of theme of found family, I think, also just resonates with so many.
Oh, it does. People. Yeah, absolutely. It just appeals to a wide audience, doesn't it?
Yeah, in fact, I would say that you kind of have a found family with your animals. Would you agree?
Oh, definitely. Oh, of course we do. Yeah. And even now, now I don't have them all. Yeah.
Yeah. Though, especially the more naughty ones, like Hal, your dog.
Oh, now, yes, Hal. Hal's extreme. I don't know. He's not with me at the moment. But yes, Hal's extremely naughty. Hal's the real cat. Hal's like the dog version of Rocky. He's cheeky.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think. Well, before we go, do you have anything else to plug?
Not really, other than to plug the film massively and be kind of sad that it's the last one. But sometimes that's a good thing, because sometimes if there's too many, it spoils it. Yeah,
that's true. All right.
So I think they've been very wise.
Yeah, plus you can see these characters and anything they've been in, like Avengers. They were like in 2 Avengers films. They were
Yeah.
in
Who
one
knows where they'll
movie.
pop up? Who knows where they'll pop up in the future? Really, you know.
Yeah, that's just Marvel in general.
Marvel's crackers, isn't it? That's why people love it. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just a little bit crazy.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think this is the perfect place to end it.
Okay.
If you want, everyone, follow them on Facebook.
Oh, please do.
Yeah, it's Hal and Friends, right?
Hal and Friends on Facebook, yes, and Oreo's two little brothers are on there as well with their naughtiness. They're here in Portugal.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, that was I Help Make That, and I'll see you all later.